A hearty warm welcome to you, Marc.
Namaste. Namaste.
Yes.
My head is very large up there. Why is my head the largest out of all of them? So that's what I said. But thank you. I wanted to, I'm not going to tell you about my career choices, as Bijwat said early, because it was interesting if I wanted to be a radio DJ. We can talk about it later, why I took this turn. But I do want to share with you just a brief, again, personal note. I've been visiting India now since 1995 was my first visit, and that was when I first visited Bangalore. I was in Mumbai as well, and I drove when they just built the highway from Mumbai to Pune. And so what I've observed, and the thing that I'm very excited about speaking to you here today, is the pace of innovation that I've seen in the last 25 years in India. When I was here in Bangalore, it was very, I don't even recognize it anymore. It's grown so much. And one of the things, I was talking to some of the team this week, and one of the things that I was asked is, well, maybe the pace of innovation in India, especially around generative AI, ML, and technology, is maybe a little bit slower than other paces in the world. I disagree. I think one of the things that I point out is UPI. I'm blown away at how within just a few years you've established a payment system and leapfrogged it so that every pawn vendor takes a QR code and you can get anything. Again, you've leapfrogged the world. So you should be really proud of the innovation here, and I'm proud just to be speaking to you and really in thinking about the evolution, and I think you are poised for success with your organizations to take advantage of data, and that's what we're going to be talking about today, is how do you harness the power of data? Yes, this day is about storage, but as Bijwat said, it's really about data, and storage and S3 is the foundation of that data, and today I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about the evolution of our storage portfolio, how that can help you both take data, groom data, curate data, and eventually extend that data into generative AI and machine learning. So we'll start it off and talk a little bit about data being foundational and really starting with durable cloud storage. So what you want to make sure as a basic building block is that once you have moved your data into the cloud, that it's secure, available, and durable. So whatever you're moving from, or whether you're creating cloud-native applications, AWS's storage portfolio has something to be able to run that application. So object storage with S3, block storage for high-performance database applications for the EBS, shared file storage with EFS, lift and shift and ease of migration, and we'll be talking with FSX NetApp, FSX Windows, a wide variety of file storage solutions. And then we'll be spending quite a bit of time today on ensuring your data is protected and resilient. Because once you've moved to the cloud and once you have your data in the cloud, you want to make sure that the data is available and either through malicious or accidental reasons, you want to make sure that the data is not deleted or altered in any way. So we'll talk to you about the entire portfolio, and then we'll talk a little bit about what customers are doing, some of the innovations, and how you can take advantage of AWS and Amazon S3 and our entire portfolio of solutions. So first of all, let's start. What are customers building today? It's a wide variety of solutions that customers are building in the cloud. First of all, in customers, we have tens of thousands of data lakes now running on AWS today. We have customers who have built them from scratch, but many other customers who've migrated them from on-premises to Hadoop and then taken advantage of AWS S3, Amazon S3 with our 3 availability zones, 11 nines of durability and availability to make sure that that's your solid foundation for your data lakes. Modern applications like SaaS, SAP, and making sure that you have a solid foundation for that as well. Mission critical applications like SAP and SQL Server, file shares, and then you want to make sure, as I said, data protection, and you're protecting that data. And then for those in regulated industries like financial services or healthcare, making sure that your data is available for compliance reasons as well. So let's dive a little bit deeper on some of our storage portfolio. First of all, we have EFS, our shared file system. So if you think about perhaps you're using AWS serverless technology like Lambda, you have multiple instances, and you want to be able to share that data and have a persistent storage layer that's available to all of the instances. So what you can do is you can spin up multiple instances, and you can be assured that all the newest code is available, your Lambda code is available to all of those instances using EFS. So that's your shared file system for applications in AWS. Now you're thinking about how do I build, and many of you are using these building blocks today, how do I build next generation applications in the cloud? So block storage, high performance, whether you're running databases, but often customers are using this for boot volumes. So pretty much every customer, show of hands, how many people are using EC2 and EBS? I think everybody, hopefully everybody's hand raises, but everybody is a basic building block. EFS, shared file directory, 1 to thousands of clients. Again, we talked about Lambda use cases, but again, containers and EFS are a pattern that work really well together. And then finally, S3, where we're going to be spending the bulk of the time today. This is your data lake, your foundation for generative AI, machine learning, and you have exabytes, and we have individual customers storing exabytes today. So for file, and I know Christian is going to do a much deeper dive on file, but again, I want to share a little bit of the portfolio this morning. First of all, we have FSxN or FSx NetApp ONTAP. This is a like-for-like solution for customers wishing to migrate or stand up new capabilities in the cloud for customers who are used to that great performance and capabilities with NetApp's infrastructure, with the ONTAP system. Secondly, we have FSx for Windows, migrating your Windows file servers. FSx for Lustre, which we see a common use case, especially the combination of Lustre and S3 for, say, LLM model training. We see that quite often. High performance compute applications where you need that really high performance file system layer with S3 backing it. OpenZFS and file cache. So, all of this comes together then, as Vishwat said, with S3 being kind of the center of all of these different applications. So you can store your data in S3 in open formats, and that's a trend that we're seeing in S3 is rather than having it in proprietary closed formats, storing it in an open format. So whatever applications and whatever analytics or machine learning applications that are available today or in the future are able to read that data. Cost effectively scaling to exabytes, decoupling storage from compute, and then your choice of analytics and ML engines, whether ours, AWS, or any of our partner solutions. So that's the foundation, if you will. And again, as I mentioned, we're going to talk about storage, but really the rest of this presentation is going to be about what do you do with the data once it's stored in S3 and in AWS. So really we think about really the path and the journey for customers moving their data in 3 stages. The first stage is aggregation of the data. So many customers are migrating very rapidly to the cloud or creating, say, new data sets in S3 today. This is moving, whether it's terabytes, petabytes, or exabytes of data, moving that data and aggregating that data. And there are a lot of efficiencies that you can get. So I work with customers every single day who are migrating silos of data from different departments. So for example, finance department, marketing department, and different areas might have silos of data today on premises. Aggregating and putting that data into S3 immediately provides efficiencies because you're having perhaps duplicate data around the organization. Now you're able to aggregate that data in one place. Rather than having 3 copies, you might just have 1, so you're getting immediate return on investment. The next stage is probably one of the most crucial stages, and we're going to be talking about this quite a bit today. And I know also our friends at Commvault are going to be talking a little bit about how they help in this area too around data curation. But data curation, let me unpack this a bit. So you take all your data and all your from around your organization and you dump it into S3, and now you've aggregated it. But what use is it if you can't have applications understand, first of all, what the data is, and you can't assign governance and security policies to make sure that the data is only accessible by those who need it and inaccessible to those who don't. So the curation stage of the data is probably as important or more important than the aggregation stage. So with this, we offer tools and capabilities like S3 metadata built on S3 tables, as well as additional capabilities to curate that data, to set things, first of all, to make sure that ML and analytics applications can understand the data and be able to search the data. Secondly, to be able to provide governance and security policies, again, to provide the capabilities to make sure that you have data like you had physical isolation on-prem. Now you want to be able to have isolation and governance in the cloud. So that curation of data is a critical step for customers. And many customers that we have stop here. This is where many customers are today. But the interesting thing comes in is now the extension of the data. So once you've curated the data and aggregated the data, now you can extend the data, both for internal use cases to internal departments. And then we have other customers like Experian and Salesforce, that are building marketplaces with their data, that are now extending kind of their data that they've curated and aggregated, and are now providing licensing and marketplace versions of that data to external customers. So this is the journey that we're seeing with many customers still in that curation stage, and that's, I think, where we really want to focus and help customers so they can build up and get to that extend stage. So once you've had this, and now you have it all in S3, you can have data streams putting data into S3, applications accessing that data, data warehouses taking advantage of it, and databases being able to all pull data from S3 as that source of truth. And so what we saw is over the last few years, where S3 started, and S3 is almost 20 years old now, so where S3 started was a highly durable, highly secure object store to be able to get access to any data in the world at any time. But a lot of the data was image data, colder data, that wasn't actively changing and was not really transactional data. What we've seen over the last 5 years, though, is this acceleration of data, specifically tabular data, and then in further acceleration of a specific type of tabular data in iceberg format that now really is one of the fastest growing areas of data growth within S3. And so today, we have exabytes of data in Apache Parquet stored in S3. And to kind of give you an idea of the volume, we have over 15 million requests per second for Apache Parquet data across S3 in AWS. So really, S3 has transitioned from becoming this, if you will, more traditional file construct and hierarchy, and taking taking image data and colder data, and now migrating it to a data store with Iceberg as one of the fastest growing formats. And so we saw this, and we saw lots of customers that were using Iceberg to manage their Parquet format data in an open standard, and being able to do things like compaction and being able to have rollback and fast forward and rewind capabilities for their metadata and for their tabular data. We said, customers are using S3 for this at an exabyte scale. How do we more deeply understand the data and help customers manage that data more efficiently so that they don't have to do all the heavy lifting around management of the metadata, the compaction of the metadata, et cetera, all of the heavy lifting. And so what we did is we introduced Amazon S3 tables at reInvent last year. And so this will be a theme that you'll see is really trying to deeply understand the data that's stored in S3 today, and helping our customers then manage and curate and extend that data. So with Amazon S3 tables, we created an entirely new bucket called table buckets. And like the table buckets, the buckets that you see on your table, the little, I think there's a little tongue in cheek there, but you have a bucket on your table, that's a table bucket. we, with Amazon S3 tables, said we know this new bucket type and we understand the type of data, which is Iceberg data, tabular data, with Iceberg managing the metadata. So what can we do with that? We can understand that, so instead of having to package and lay out the data for optimal performance, we automatically can say, oh, we know this is Iceberg and we know it's tabular data, so we're gonna get performance benefits, so we could just optimize for that. And we can say, hey, well, why don't we just do compaction for you rather than you having to write your own compaction routines. And in the future, new capabilities and heavy lifting, all the storage heavy lifting, if you think about our customers are asking for, that too, we'll be able to do in the fullness of time. But day one, this is providing customers who've never used Iceberg before up to 3x faster query performance and up to 10x higher TPS. Why? Because we know what's in the bucket, right? It's a table bucket. We offer simplified security and automated cost optimization. So let me finish, and then before I hand it off to Haren, with a customer called Pendulum. Pendulum is a brand intelligence platform, and they're transforming their data lakes by using S3 table buckets. They process thousands of hours of analyzed video and audio content and extract that content in near real time using machine learning tools. And so they didn't want to, their expertise isn't managing tables, compaction, snapshots, file cleanups, and all of this heavy lifting. Their expertise is in brand intelligence and taking advantage of and making really intelligent decisions and helping customers make decisions on that data, not on the heavy lifting on the storage layer. So what we do is we help them, and they're saving up to 40% cost reductions and improving performance just by using S3 tables. We're seeing thousands and thousands of customers now adopting S3 tables for eliminating the heavy lifting using S3 tables. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Haren Chandaramani and talk to you a little bit more about how we're helping customers understand the data that they're storing, new innovations, and tease up a little bit about some of the new generative AI and ML foundations that we're building on S3. So thank you. Hand it over to Haren.